Rhinoing, just trying to navigate this weird
internet world.
yeah, there's no like real world left. It is just internet world.
Pretty much.
This thing's weird too. Help yourself some chocolate.
Oh my!
We just found out about it.
Dude,
I don't know if you've ever had this chocolate before.
Miles. Oh, so it's sweetened with honey, huh?
Dude, it's so good.
Raw, local honey. Oh, no gluten.
Yeah, so we discovered this stuff at Market of Choice.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of expensive. And Andy and I were drinking beverages and eating dinner and chatting about Honey Mama's chocolate. And I was like, I've been making these gift packs for Rhino for the website. And like brands we love and just trying to figure out like little holiday gifts or Valentine's gifts. I was like, I wonder if I could get a wholesale account for these guys. And it was way too easy. They like send you to this website, Fair,
Nice.
and you just enter your credentials. Like,
I thought you were gonna say you gave them some Rhino, and they were like, "Here, all the chocolate you want."
No, it was like
Our hands have never felt better.
It was like $180 minimum order. I'm going stylish and drinking out of a ceramic goblet.
Dude,
that's a lot bigger than I thought that was gonna be. So I ordered a case of all their chocolate, and it was like $100 off of wholesale, and they just delivered it. So we have
she just got a whole case.
we have 100. It was 12 of each flavor. So we have like
I was gonna say 12 total. I was like, that is some expensive chocolate.
So we have like 100 of these things. So they'll go up on the website at some point. We need to figure out how to ship them because it's refrigerator only.
Wait, you're gonna ship these out in your little gift packages?
Yeah. And they do melt. They melt in your mouth. It's amazing.
Melt in your mouth, not in your hand.
They melt also in your hand. They melt anywhere you put it.
Alright, I'll give it a try. Except for the fridge.
Except for the fridge. They're just in the freezer for a little bit. Stubbed my thumb yesterday.
Why did you do that? Or how?
I don't know. I punched somebody in the knee by accident.
For real?
And Tango's very interested in that thing in his room right now.
Tango, what is that?
Yeah,
Is that a phone on a stand? Alright, let's try this.
Yeah, try it. Totally addicted. If I am 250 pounds by the end of the month, you know why.
Cool. Dude. Well, I mean, we're all gonna be, right? Everything's closed down again.
Yeah.
We're just watching YouTube videos.
The COVID 150.
The COVID-19.
Yeah. 19 kilograms.
Hi.
On a bud. Yeah. So, should we get into this?
Dude, I'm ready. Let's
Joey.
do it. Justin.
Cheers.
Hey.
Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me over here.
You want to tell, so Skin and Abuse? No. Skin in the Game podcast.
What is this? You want to start over?
No, there is no starting over. There is no end. You want to tell people about yourself, what you've been up to, where you came from?
Yeah.
What species you are?
I'm some form of human.
Okay.
We won't get into that. I am the head route setter at the Ben Rock Gym. I've been there for 7.5 years now. Before that, I was down in Southern Oregon at the Road Rock Gym, setting, managing, coaching, doing that for like 7 years as well. Grew up in Portland. I've been climbing pretty much my whole life, just since I was a kid. Climbing around with my dad, going outside, and yeah, so that's kind of how I got started, and now I'm just up here in Bend, setting routes and shaping holds and having fun and drinking beer.
So are you 4D as well?
What's up?
Are you 40? How old are you?
Am I 40?
Yeah.
Dude, I feel like it. No, I just turned 35.
35. Okay.
I know I don't look a day over 34.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say you look pretty bad for 40. So.
Got some wrinkles going.
Yeah.
Yeah, 35 and.
So in Portland in the 80s, did Portland Rock Gym exist yet? That was 90s.
It did. No, well, I forget when that opened. Wasn't it like 90 or 91?
I was around.
You weren't born?
No, I was not born. I'm a rough 27.
You look old. Yeah, I don't remember the exact year they opened. I want to say it was like 89, 90, 91. I actually didn't go to a climbing gym until I think I went to Portland Rock Gym one time when I was like 15 or 14 with a friend, and I like totally, my friend's mom dropped us off. We didn't have waivers filled out, and they were like, sorry. It was like the classic, like,
You just
try
sat,
to climb.
You just sat in the waiting room.
Yeah, and then I think we went back one time, and it like, yeah, it was fun. It was just like, you know, grungy 90s gym.
Mm-hmm.
All those old resin holds,
Did they
everywhere.
Did they have pea gravel, or did they start with
They
Tiva?
just had drag pads, I believe. I really can't remember, but I do remember the walls were, just wood walls and tape and just dusty,
Yeah.
you know, like classic old.
black snot.
Yeah, it was nasty. But I actually like kind of built a little climbing wall thing at my house when I was a kid. Before that, even when I was like probably 11, 12, 13, I was pretty into bouldering. My dad got me a crash pad, which I still have like 22 years later.
Was it cordless or?
It was a Metolius bifold, like super small crash pad. Like the straps are all busted now, and I think it's like stashed under a boulder somewhere. Right now,
So
it's
like
just
carpet
rotting. No, but
don't say it.
No, just kidding. It's
in your backyard.
No pads anywhere. Yeah, so I like did that. It wasn't even a climbing wall. It was like super janky on our deck, and I had this little route that I'd set that we basically put 2x4s with like 1x6 pieces of wood across with a few T-nuts. So it wasn't like a full panel of wood. It was just like pieces of wood between 2x4s on the side of my deck on two different sides of it, and the same thing underneath. And so I would do this little circuit where I'd climb down, do a full little roof climb underneath my deck, which was like 5 feet off the ground, and then climb up the other side and do like pull-ups and stuff. And I was like,
holy shit.
you know, had a climbing magazine. And
so was your dad a climber?
Kinda. I mean, he knew how to like set up top ropes, and he was more into backpacking and hiking and stuff. But him and some friends, they would do some climbing. It wasn't like super extensive. He didn't really lead climb or anything. And I think looking back on it, some of the stuff we were doing when I was a kid with my dad was pretty sketch. Like the top ropes were just like, you know, it'd be like sling a rock with some webbing and
overhand knot,
tied overhand knot, and like one piece of webbing. You know, it wasn't even like equalized or 2 points. You know, hit belays.
That's how it
like
done.
homemade harnesses out of
Really?
webbing and stuff. It was it was pretty fun. I can't believe I'm alive. But
That's why kids are bouncy.
yeah.
So, like you said, you've climbed since you were forever. So you started outside, like around Portland.
Yeah, I started outside, and then kind of started training in my backyard, or whatever you call it. Seeing how many pull-ups I can do, you know.
Yeah.
14-year-old training, you know.
Did you do more
Unguided.
pull-ups as a teenager, or can you do more pull-ups now?
Oh yeah, dude. When I was 15, I could crank out like 32 pull-ups.
Yes, I'm with you.
Now it's like I don't even know if I could do like 12 right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably could, but
It'd be rough. I'd be done for the week if I tried to do 12 pull-ups right now. I'd probably bust my wrist off.
yeah, I know, for real. Yeah, so I just did that. Yeah, and then kind of got more into indoor climbing, not even until college, really. I went to Southern Oregon. Actually did like a study abroad over to New Zealand between sophomore and junior year in college. And then that kind of I stopped climbing for like the first 2 years in college because I wrestled as well.
Okay.
So I grew up wrestling. Also another like full body sport.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess most sports are full body, but
Eh.
that's really full body.
Esports.
Video games.
I would be horrible at it now with my jammed thumb.
Well,
I'm horrible at it
you
anyhow.
don't need to be good at that.
GoldenEye.
Read a book.
I was pretty good at GoldenEye.
That was classic.
What was I gonna ask? I don't remember.
Uh,
My glory day. I would say one of the best days of my youth was I was a pretty shy kid, and went to private school for like most of my young age, and then switched to a public school. And I don't know, shyness doesn't help in like either of those places, but the public school is like 2,000 kids, like 400 people per class. Math doesn't work. But in like I wasn't a great athlete, but I had been rock climbing since like a gym opened up when I was 14, and
where was this at?
Cleveland.
Nice.
Because Shaker is where I grew up, and there's a gym in
Shaker
Cleveland.
Rock.
Bedrock Gym.
What?
No. Jesus. I had worked already today. My brain's mush. No, it was
another
it was a
Bedrock
Cleveland
Gym.
Rock Gym. Cleveland Rock Gym. Shaker Rocks opened up, and it's probably like 2 miles from where I grew up. So that would have been sweet
Nice.
instead of 15 miles.
Yeah, I know a route setter that works there.
Oh no!
Yeah, I was over in Akron at the Rock Candy Gym. What was that, last October, doing a clinic, and the head sitter there, he came down.
Is that like Vertical World or something? Or?
The gym in Akron? No, it was the Rock Candy.
Oh, just their gym.
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't know they
It's
were
called the
in-
Rock Mill.
I didn't know they were in Ohio.
Yeah.
Nice.
Akron, Ohio.
Cool.
Home of Rock Candy and LeBron James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Drew Carey.
Yeah.
You know?
Akron?
Uh-huh. Oh, not Akron, just in general.
Just the
Ohio.
whole I thought he was from Cleveland.
He could be. But anyway, I was
Same
this
thing.
like unathletic kid, and the gym testing, like PE testing, we had to do pull-ups, and I like set a record for the school.
That's when you knew.
And then people started choosing me for the basketball team, which was a huge mistake.
Wait, pull-ups and basketball?
I don't know. They're like, he must be a good
Because
athlete.
after you dunk, you do your pull-up. just to
One arm in,
intimidate
yeah.
them.
Yeah, pointing.
You do the lock off and over the center. He's like
Yeah.
7 feet tall.
Yeah, do that pooch lock off and point.
I miss every shot after that.
But the grin is worth it. All right. Yeah, so we're just about done.
Yeah, that's it. That's the whole story.
So I did not know you rock climbed the whole time. Do you think wrestling helped your rock climbing, or rock climbing helped your wrestling?
Oh yeah, totally.
Just like core wise or coordination or.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think so. The three like main sports I did growing up were cross country, wrestling, and climbing, and those were all individual sports, and they were all. Running wasn't very like kinesthetic necessarily. It's kind of repetitive, obviously. But yeah, with wrestling and climbing, that the overlap is pretty good. I mean, wrestling, there's a lot of just grabbing and pulling, and same with climbing. Body awareness, endurance, and yeah, just being aware of your body and what's going on, and kind of being able to get into that kind of like the zone like athletes talk about, having those soft eyes when you're just kind of you don't have to concentrate very hard. Specifically, you just kind of react.
Let the skill be the skill.
Yeah, and so with wrestling and climbing both, that doing that a lot growing up, I just became pretty aware of what my body was doing without having to think about it a whole lot.
Cool. Explain soft eyes. I've never heard that before.
It's kind of like, rather than focusing on something specifically, it's kind of having a more general awareness with your vision, like peripheral vision. So instead of like, if you're climbing, you're like focusing on that crimp, and you just kind of get tunnel vision on that one like move or that whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Having soft eyes kind of sets your mind back a little bit so that you're looking at your surroundings and you're kind of a little bit more aware of yourself a little bit more objectively rather than so subjectively. As far as I remember.
Does that like play in to just kind of like flowing with what the experience brings, or is it?
Yeah, it's
just
kind of like reacting to things. It's kind of tapping into that more instinctive mentality rather than having to be conscious of what you're doing. You're kind of more, your subconscious is kind of taking over a little bit more, and then getting in that flow state.
I like that soft eyes.
Not to be confused with stoner eyes.
Totally different.
Whoa, bro.
Yeah. This is crazy. I'm getting smashed. I started jujitsu a little bit ago. I think I probably told you before.
I don't think you have.
No, well I did.
What, are you a black belt?
No.
Come
I've just
on.
been doing it for like a year. I just got my blue belt.
Dude, we should roll around after
Yeah, let's
this.
do it.
Or right now.
We can just pop up.
Move the table.
We got pads in the back. But I just a couple weeks ago, I was rolling and I was really tired, and I tried to do this. I like this thought. Some of it's like play, right? You just have to play around with whatever's going
You're
on
making
and
stuff up.
Yeah, and I called it Sleepy Panda because it was just like rolling around and just playing and
Yeah.
like kind of taking what's coming at you and trying to like adapt to the situation with like what you know. But soft eyes is a lot better.
I like Sleepy Panda.
It's like I'm playing Sleepy Panda right now. That's what I felt like.
Yeah.
Like the YouTube pandas when they're just like rolling around.
No, I think that's important for sports, to be aware of that sort of stuff.
So your wrestling training, like when you were wrestling in school, compare that to rock climbing training.
Oh man. Well, wrestling is very militarized in a way. You're with your wrestling team and you have all your weight classes and you're just like this squad of dudes that are just badasses that are just trying to be tough. And so the workouts are definitely, they fall in line with that. So I think hands down their training for wrestling is one of the hardest things that I've ever done. Far more difficult than climbing training.
Yeah. Do you think that there's climbers that train at the same intensity that wrestlers train? I don't know.
I mean, yes. There's climbers that are just beasts that are training like crazy. It's just a little bit different because it's kind of more isolated to like specific body parts, and you're like training your crimps or your endurance or your power endurance or whatever. And whereas wrestling, it's so skill based, and then it's also extremely cardiovascular, and like you have to just be in really, really good shape. And then there's this mental component as well, where like just combining all that is extremely difficult. And so you're not training like just your finger strength or endurance or whatever. You're like whooping each other's asses for 2 hours straight, and you lose like 6 pounds in a practice from sweating, and you're like people are like throwing up in garbage cans and stuff.
Yeah, it's
not on purpose, but they're just working so hard. They're just like, it's just exhausting.
Yeah, I think some people in climbing throw up in trash cans on purpose.
Yeah, they gotta get
drop
to
that weight.
I mean, wrestlers do that too, but to make weight. But
yeah, it's interesting talking to people like me having started jiu-jitsu and being a rock climber for a long time, because especially at Smith Rock, I feel like if there's like one little tweak in my body or I'm not feeling like 100%, I can't like apply myself to the problem. But with like jiu-jitsu, you could have a tweak or something sore, and you can decrease the intensity but still get a level of practice that lets you improve.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to like figure out. I've been rock climbing for a long time.
Yeah.
But I can't figure out how to like transfer that of like how do I decrease the intensity but still learn or still improve at rock climbing if I have an injury or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more difficult, but I'm sure you do
possible.
though. I mean, like what, you tweak your finger and then you still climb, like come to the gym and hop on some autoblaze and do some 5-6s. And
Yeah, does that help? I don't know if that helps.
Yeah, true. I don't know, climb one armed.
Yeah, just like, yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know, watch some like World Cups on YouTube.
Yeah. So I always start new topics with so. I need better segues.
Furthermore,
and hitherto. So I'm just going back to so. The Portland climbing scene. When you were a kid, what was there one? Were they open to new characters and nurturing, or was it like Mazamas? Or was there something else?
There was Mazamas. There was like the old school outdoor guys that are climbing mountains and got their beards and their boots and their ice axes and stuff. My dad was one of those. Like I don't think he was actually in the Mazamas, but his church and like his whole crew that he hung out with did all that. I didn't really like. I wouldn't even say I was in the climbing scene when I was a kid in Portland. Like. I didn't climb a whole lot in high school, but middle school to like the first part of high school, I was just doing it on my own. I literally would like I said, I went to the climbing gym one time. Otherwise, I was in my garage or my backyard or going out climbing with my dad. And I literally would, every month, Climbing Magazine would come out, and I would read that like cover to cover. And I was in my own little bubble, and I just did my own thing. And I saw people bouldering. I was like, cool, I'm gonna boulder. And like we got this little like homemade guide that someone made from one of the climbing shops in Portland, and we went out. We drove up the gorge to the Dalles and went to this spot called Horse Thief Butte, and we go to Broughton Bluff, which was kind of near Troutdale. I even like grew up when I was a kid. There's this spot called Rocky Butte in Portland. It's like this man-made kind of like castle type thing on the top of this butte, and we would like climb this man-made wall.
Really?
Yeah, when I was like
where is
5, 6, kind of near the airport. Like
I was gonna say driving into the airport.
Yeah, right where 205 meets I-84. There's like this big butte up there, and like there's photos of me climbing this like super slabby thing when I'm like 5 years old, and like crappy tennis shoes and like homemade harness, and my dad's sitting on the top belaying me with like cars driving by and stuff. So yeah, like there's I didn't like go to the gyms. I wasn't part of a club. And I remember a family friend gave me, I don't even know if he gave it to me, if I just kept it, but it was the Masters of Stone 3.
Ooh.
Old school VHS, and I would watch that on repeat.
Is that Dan Osman climbing up the waterfall?
No, Dan Osman was in it, but it was him speed climbing at
Lover's League.
It had Boone Speed climbing Super Tweak and JV Tribute. That's where I learned how to knee drop watching JV from that video.
Cool.
He's like, you do this, you drop his knee, you drop his knee, and he's like dropping his knees, and I was like, what does he do? I was like, I need to do that.
Oh my god, he's a genius.
Yeah, like, what's her name? Bobby Benson? Yeah, I forget what she was climbing. And like Todd Skinner's in there, like doing some like urban climbing, like being a weirdo, like down in Waco. Yeah, just all those old school climbers. Like watch that shit, and can I swear on here?
Yeah, of course. It's not NBC.
Am I allowed to swear?
We've been picked up by some major stations, but I can still swear.
I knew it. I had a feeling. But yeah, so that was my scene, and I don't know what people were doing in Portland, but
I don't think people still know what they're doing in Portland.
Yeah, that's the whole vibe of Portland, right?
Yeah, that's the point.
They don't want anyone to know what they're doing, because if people knew what they were doing, then They're no longer
it would
those,
be
like, hipsters.
Yeah, it would be like Cleveland.
Yeah. So that's where I learned how to knee drop, and that's where I learned how to.
So you climbed as a kid.
Yep.
Took time off in high school to wrestle.
Yep.
So that kind of captured you.
Mm-hmm.
And
college a little bit.
And college. And then
popped over to New Zealand.
Oh yeah, where in New Zealand? That's what I was gonna ask.
I lived in Dunedin, South Island. Have you been there?
Yeah, I lived in New Zealand for a year.
Really?
Yeah. In
South Island?
Arrowtown.
Arrowtown.
Mm-hmm.
That's a small spot.
Yep. Yeah, there's one of the.
That's like why Arrowtown and not because it's cheaper than.
No, there's a restaurant, Saffron Restaurant in Arrowtown, and I moved to Portland to go to culinary school, and then people were taking all these lame ass internships, and I was like, I'm gonna do something cool for my internship, and I emailed like 20 places I wanted to go travel to with awesome restaurants, and
Sweet.
Peter from Saffron was like the one of 3 most foolish people to say, yeah, come on over, and to cap it off, he was gonna pay me, and I was like, sweet. And the minimum wage in New Zealand was like $12.50. It was like 2005.
Nice.
It was a done deal, and so I lived in Arrowtown for a year.
Dude,
and,
that's like right before I went over there.
really?
The year,
Dude,
I was in there in
we took
2006.
each other.
I maybe did.
At White Creek,
Wait,
climbed at White Creek, climbed in Dunedin.
yeah, I was there. I was there 2006.
Yeah, we were probably there at the same time.
I hope I passed you and waved at you.
Yeah, we
Oh,
could.
that's
I mean, if you ever got drunk in Queenstown, it's possible
I
we
did.
bumped into each other at the gelato place or the hamburger place.
Ferguson or
I have no idea what
the
that is
hamburger
called.
place. What was it?
Yeah.
I
I don't
it's
know.
called Ferguson's.
It could be.
Yeah.
I never showed up there when I knew it had a name.
It was open late,
Yeah.
and there, just a bunch of sloppy people.
Yeah, exactly.
And some sloppy burgers.
Yep. Perfect.
Yeah, it was a sloppy Joe.
Yeah, that was great. That was a good time.
Nice. That's fun.
What'd you do there? What were you doing there?
Well, I was still in wrestling mode when I went there. And
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like,
You went there to wrestle?
well, no, I mean, I went there, well, to be honest, I went there because when I was a kid, I read Lord of the Rings and I saw the movie and I was like, that looks badass. And my
Did you go to
buddy's like, you should go there. And I was like, I'm going there. I did not go there. I actually didn't like look at any of the like Lord of the Rings
really?
stuff at all. I just showed up there. I was like living with these 3 other guys, all from like different parts of the U.S., which is really cool. So I still talk to those guys. And I found this wrestling club in Dunedin, and I was just like,
Oh, no way.
I mean, that's what I did. I wrestled. I had a scholarship in college. I was a wrestler. I was training to go to nationals and help our team win and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually went there, helped coach for a little bit for the first few months I was there, and then I actually competed at their national
No way.
championship, and I won.
Cool.
So
Really?
I'm the New Zealand
That's
national
awesome.
champion. Greco-Roman
That's amazing.
and freestyle.
Whoa.
But their country is like the size of Oregon, and wrestling is not such a huge sport over there. So
Yeah, but
it's
they're
not
all,
really saying
everybody's a
much.
fighter, though. Everybody just loves to get in fights.
Yeah, but they take all that aggression out in rugby.
Yeah,
They
that's a
don't-
good point.
They don't
yeah.
wrestle. So
That's cool.
And then finally, one of my my roommates was like, "Dude, you need to like stop doing what you always do, and you need to get out and like go backpack and explore." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. I need to like get out of my comfort zone a little bit and like try some new stuff, So I went on this. I joined the tramping club there. That's like,
Tramping on the tracks.
We're tramping around.
Yeah.
I wish I could do a New Zealand accent. But
You can try.
it always
Let's
turns
do it.
into like this British
cares?
Australian thing. It's kind of mixed.
Well, oh, God.
Eh,
I was going to
bloody hell.
All I know is
I can't
flush
do
and
that.
chips.
Fish and chips.
Flush and chips.
Fish and chips. Yeah,
Brew.
they love their fish and
Yeah.
chips.
Yeah.
So I went on this backpacking trip, and then me and some friends actually led a trip to Castle Hill
Mm-hmm.
and led a bouldering trip there. And I was like, dude, I need to climb more.
This is pretty
because
fun.
I just love this.
Yeah.
And then I just hitchhike. I did like this a
So
couple of
that's
hitchhiking trips, like all the way up the West Coast and across Castle Hill and down, like just some solo hitchhiking. Grew my hair out. I was all weird and hippie looking.
Nice.
Got some hemp necklaces.
Sick.
Found myself.
Got a little piece of power.
I did. Yeah. And then I
So that's back into rock climbing.
Yeah, then I was like, hell yeah, let's climb.
Cool.
And then, yeah, moved back to Ashland and joined the climbing gym there. And I paid for 1 month of membership, and then I got hired there. And that's the only month membership I've ever paid at a climbing gym.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang, you did it right.
I just have always worked at a climbing gym ever since.
What was your first job?
My first job?
At a climbing gym.
Oh, that was at the Rogue Rock Gym.
Mm-hmm.
My first job, I mean, it was just like front desk. I was just like a regular staff member. Pretty much all the staff there did everything. They set routes. They kind of helped coach. They like whatever.
What year was
camps
that?
and stuff. That was in December of 2006,
Okay.
and then, and then I remember we had a sport climbing competition that March, and that was the first time I ever set routes. And the owner of the gym, it's so funny, like looking back at what we were doing, like we used these 5-gallon buckets, and we didn't have like, it was like literally you clip the 5-gallon bucket with the wire handle to your harness with your holds in it, and I was like hanging it. The walls weren't that tall, but
assholes.
like looking back, I'm just like, what the hell were we doing? Like that's a wire holding like, 30,
which
40
is like
pounds.
a shitty hook.
Yeah, it's hooked into this little plastic bucket, and up there with a T-handle, like no directionals, like just trying to figure out how to put these routes up. And he's like, yeah, you're anchored to the ground, jug up here, use this gree, and like, I don't know, just make something up. And I was like, all right. So I set a couple routes in that comp, and they were probably garbage. And then I just kind of kept setting from there. And
They're organic.
yeah, I was trying to go for like a realistic vibe. I really wanted to give people the experience that they were outside.
Yeah.
At,
Nice
Smith Rock.
nice squeaky chaos.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So that was in the age of like climbing gyms. It might have been a little after that. There was a certain time where climbing gyms would just like approach their customer base and be like, "Hey, you want to set a couple routes?"
Oh yeah, we had that.
It was still going on.
Yeah, there was people that set for memberships, and I mean, when I came up to Bend, we still had that.
I was gonna say, I think it happened up until like
when
4 years ago.
When I took over as head setter, I nixed that,
Mm-hmm.
and there was quite a few unhappy members.
There's some very unhappy people.
I remember talking with some of them like personally, and it's like, hey, it's nothing personal. I just like, I'm going for a certain standard, and I can't hold volunteers accountable.
I think I was
And
one of the people. I don't think I got angry. I might have gotten fake angry, but
it's okay. You can be angry. I mean, you could wash holds if you want.
No,
but I just won't let you set. That was the age. People were volunteering, and it was just like chaos.
How long would it take a power washer to create a crimper and a sloper?
Say what?
How long would it take a power washer to create a crimper and a sloper?
Oh, to just blast the sloper until there's a crimp?
Mm-hmm.
Probably. That's a good question.
What I'm saying is, if you need a hold washer, I'm in.
You'll just stand there and blast those slopers until you can crimp them.
Yeah.
Well, you can crimp anything, right?
Yeah.
Just
Theoretically.
close that
I'm really
crimp
not
on
that
that edge of that sloper.
I gotta do more hangboarding.
I watch all kinds of people, mainly kids, competing do that.
You just get like way back in there.
They'll crimp on anything. It's crazy. Like, yeah, either the edge of the hold or just it's a sloper and they'll just do this, crimp on it. And I was like, dude, use your contact strength. And then I forget that they're like 11 years old and they don't have contact strength. Yeah. They don't have body tension.
What point did you realize that you wanted to shape your life around climbing, and like, what was your first idea about how to do that?
That's a good question, because don't really know if there was like a specific moment or a decision that I made where I'm like, I'm doing this for a living, you know, or this is what I want to do, you know, shape my life around.
Because for a while, it wasn't really like anything you can make a living at.
No, when I started, it was just something I did at the gym, and like that was my part-time job. Kind of switching to full-time. Right around 2007, 8, 9, somewhere in there, like the climbing industry took another like it expanded quite a bit, and there and lots of gyms were being built, and it was kind of becoming more of a thing. Some of these large gyms or gyms that were owned by like larger organizations that, you know, they had like a dozen gyms in the LA area, or like the Touchstone gyms, all those big companies, and it kind of started to become more of a reality where you could be a route setter, and that could be your profession.
Is there like a grandfather of professional route setters, like anybody that you look to, or like you know, there's like a ethos of like, oh, it was that guy that started this all off?
I mean, there's a handful of pretty notable route setters. You know, there's some of the World Cup setters, Jackie Goodoff and those guys. A lot of like hold shapers. You know, there's like Louis Anderson and Typhus and, you know, Chris Danielson. All these guys in the U.S. who, you know, are shaping holds and setting and like writing books about it. You know, back in the early 2000s.
There's books about shaping holds.
No, about route setting.
Oh.
I mean, Louis Anderson wrote the book, The Art of Course Setting, and it's just like, you know, kind of just a book about how to route set.
That's the book.
It's the book.
It's
a
book.
It's a book. I know. Yeah, Louis, if you're listening, yeah, it's the book.
It's the book, Louis.
It's the book. Yeah, and so I guess like the moment when I kind of committed more to this job was when I actually moved from the Southern Oregon area, came up to Bend. Actually, your neighbor Logan kind of convinced me to move up here. He lived down there for a bit, and met him down there, and he was like, "Dude, you should come to Bend, man. It's where it's at." And I mean, obviously, I've been here.
That's a really good Logan impression.
Oh, I didn't even try.
Just
you gotta come up here and give it a shot, man.
Yep.
Okay. That's my Logan. Yeah, so I moved up here, and then I like volunteered for a couple weeks to set, and like didn't have a job. Moved up here. They, you know, Ben Rock Gym paid me like minimum wage. First they paid me $10 a boulder problem, and then like $10 an hour, and then like finally, kind of after a year of doing that, like I went into debt trying to commit to setting routes, and then I got moved up to the head route setter position after being there for a year, and we expanded the North Gym at the time, like about 6 months after I got here, and that's kind of when I really took on more of a serious approach to route setting, where I could do it for a living, and it was something that I could do professionally. Cool. And so I think when I moved here, that's when I kind of decided that that's what I wanted to do. I was like, screw my college education. I don't need to.
What was that in? What was your formal education in?
I have a degree in English and writing.
Oh. Route setting's a lot like writing.
Totally, yeah. It's like you write your rough draft, and then you edit it, and then
the holds in the words,
people read it, and they're like, "That sucks." Like, that's just your opinion, man.
True or worse.
And then I'm just like, whatever. Someone else likes it, so shut up.
Yeah. Just because you can't read well.
Yeah, you don't know how to read, dude.
What was the conversation like to have the manager, the owner, or whoever you had to have that conversation with, to make your position something that was going to work for you? You want to switch chocolate flavors?
Yeah. I mean, I like. That's peppermint, I think.
Oh, we can go back. You can go back.
I mean, no, I was gonna say I like peppermint, but it's not my favorite.
Okay.
But whatever this is,
That's
is
like
probably
just
gonna be my favorite.
Chocolate.
I mean, I love just
Oh,
chocolate.
this is peppermint, dude.
That's what I'm saying.
That's refreshing.
It's a little bit of Christmas.
Mm.
Yum. What did you ask me? Something about me.
Oh yeah, what was that conversation like with whoever it was that you talked with at the gym to when you were wanting the route setter position to be like a real thing that you can.
You know, it's funny.
progress?
I didn't really have a conversation with the owner. He approached me. Basically we expanded. There was nobody in the head route setter position. That wasn't even a position. There was just some of us that route set.
It's just route
and
setters.
we were like, it was like summertime. You know, business was a little bit slow. I was just kind of like coming in whenever, and nobody was in charge of like who's setting what routes when and how and like scheduling or any of that. It was just like I would come in and it's like, well, some of these routes need to change, and I'm just going to do it. And I would just kind of like come in, and I don't know if maybe I wasn't supposed to, or obviously Jim, the owner, noticed that I was like very eager and willing to put in that effort, and he actually approached me and was just like, hey, do you want to be the head route setter here? And we need someone that to, be in charge. It's the gym just like quadrupled inside.
But
yeah,
but the position is super prestigious.
You won't be able to afford a place to live. But it's gonna be really cool, dude. You're gonna have huge biceps.
You'll be that envy of mostly just because of inflammation and swelling.
And it's painful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel extremely fortunate to have worked both of these gyms I've worked at. The first owner of Rogue Rock Gym, Matt, he's one of my good friends.
Mm-hmm.
I thank him like a few times a year, like when I'm hanging out with him. I'm like, dude, thank you so much, man. Like,
cool.
You gave me this opportunity that, like, it changed my life.
Awesome.
And he knows that. But yeah, he just kind of showed me, despite the bucket hanging from my harness and like T-wrenches and like what he gave me a lot of opportunity to just do kind of what I felt like, and there was a lot of freedom there, and he let me make mistakes, which I think was really important. And same with Jim here in Bend, like he's pretty hands off. He approached me about being the head setter and kind of stepped back and let me do what I'm good at, and but I made mistakes, and I still do all the time. Learned a lot, made a lot of good changes, and
what are some of those mistakes where you look back and you're like,
oh, I don't know,
you drink a little too much and you're like,
oh
god.
yeah,
every
Monday morning.
Whenever
What a mistake.
if I ever just start whistling randomly, it's because I have a thought of a mistake I made. like if you like,
you tell.
Yeah, totally. Like if you are walking through the grocery store and you knock a whole shelf over by accident, and you just like turn and walk and whistle and walk away. That's what's happening in my mind.
Well, I don't know how many times you've done that, but I've never done that.
Me neither. I'm just saying that that's what it would be like. Right.
Oh man, yeah, mistakes. I've over the years, over the decade and a half of doing this, trying to own up to the mistakes and learn from them. My relationships with screwing up has definitely changed over the years, and I really value screwing up, even though it's hard to admit sometimes, or it's embarrassing, or it's like whatever, like looking back, like, dude, I can't believe I used to do that, or like I said that to my setting crew, or like whatever. So just mistakes like that where it's like day-to-day things,
You think it's
communicating with people, or like
leadership style type mistakes.
Yeah,
you just weren't learned enough in your own leadership style or company.
Exactly, and I'm still learning that.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think that's my biggest weakness in my position is having a a really good leadership style where I'm just kind of some of like the admin and the communicating with people, I think, is what I struggle with most in my position. And that's a really important part of the job, is being able to communicate and give feedback, receive feedback. I mean, we're literally setting these routes, and then our job is to tell each other what we can improve on with the routes in order to make them better. Like, that's literally like talking about your mistakes, small and big, and then having to fix them.
And having everybody understand that it's not a negative.
It's not personal. You know, sometimes it gets personal. Like, everybody has an ego, and sometimes it comes out. And
whenever there used to be a chef, and you probably knew that, but they didn't.
He used to cook food. I've eaten it.
And I actually got an email from somebody the other day, like, hey, I just got this kitchen manager position. Like, what do I need to know? And they were stoked on it, and I was like, kind of touched and surprised that I got an email about it. It's been
that's awesome.
5 years since I worked in a kitchen.
That's cool.
But one of the things that I really try to convey to that guy, and I've said this to a bunch of people, is from like a management position, your product is your employees. They're like, for the manager, your best asset, and what you're putting out is your team. And for them, what they're putting out is what the customer receives. And I think that's like a big switch over from being a cook. Your product is the food, and then for the manager, your product is actually the people.
Yeah, totally.
And it's not the customer.
That's funny, because that's like the most classic analogy with route setting, is that the route setters are the cooks or the chefs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like that's the most accurate analogy, metaphor.
Sure. Let's go both. Analophor.
Yeah. Damn it, I have a degree in English.
Unlikely. Let me see those documents.
Nope. It's locked away in a file.
I promise.
I have a diploma.
It's from one of those early Oregon schools.
Yeah, one of those hippie schools. The analogy that the route setters are the cooks, and we're putting out the product, and it's the front desk are the servers, and they're like the front of the house, and we're back there just like.
So you're saying they're useless?
Yeah, totally. We'll split tips.
Is that a climbing joke?
I don't know. I don't know what that was. What was it? Yeah, it's crazy. It's complex. It's dynamic. There's a lot of variables.
How has route setting changed the most? I mean, we talked about like it is actually a thing you can do as a career now, which I remember that switching over, and I was like, holy shit. Like, climbing's becoming real. What the fuck? And part of me being grumpy, I'm like, they don't fucking deserve it. But
you can't get paid to have fun.
But the other better part of me is like, yeah, everybody deserves to like get paid more. Obviously, I'm like the most pro paying people more.
Route setters deserve to get paid like 4 times more than they are right now.
Oh yeah,
there, I said it.
Yeah. It's crazy when you look at like the average income. Probably average isn't the right. Well, yeah, you could go average, because then there's like mean and median, which are 2 different things. But if you look at like the average income of somebody that lives in like LA or San Francisco or New York or those big cities, and then you look at the like economy of scale that like Bend or wherever else any of the other like smaller gyms are.
Yeah,
it's just crazy to think about like how much people make in cities, and not obviously not everybody, but like there's a lot of people making a lot of money in cities.
Yeah,
and then you come here,
a lot of those people are buying houses up here. Let's not get into that.
Yeah.
But hey,
I mean, we can if we want.
It sucks. It's horrible. Don't come.
It's
here.
raining out right now.
Yeah, there's like tons of smog everywhere.
100% humidity.
Mountains are gone.
Yeah, it's 34 degrees and giant mosquitoes.
Totally.
It's horrible. So yeah, other than like it becoming a real career path, like what are some cool things that you saw change?
I mean, there's been a few significant changes in the indoor climbing industry. One of the biggest ones back in like the early 2000s was climbing holds switching from the old resin heavy ass holds to polyurethane, and that kind of changed the game for just what we could do with holds, how big we could make them, like just hauling holds up a wall.
How does that work? Like, what is it about resin versus polyurethane that's lighter? I know you do like hollow holds now, but if you just take like a ball of resin and a ball of polyurethane,
it's just lighter.
The polyurethane's lighter.
It's just straight up lighter, yeah.
So it's just like less dense or whatever.
Yeah, it's.
I want some science.
Dude,
science.
I'm not a scientist. Damn it, I'm a doctor.
I'm not a sciencer.
Yeah, polyurethane's lighter, and it's. Dude, I don't know all the science behind it, but basically it's still strong.
More flexible.
It is a little bit more it's a lot more flexible. Resin is just like,
it would always chip around the edges.
Yeah. That's how you get your slopers.
That's how you get your grippers. Yeah.
There you go.
Do you ever
go back in time?
Do you ever use any of those like old ass resin holds that just got super slippery, just so you can like put them up on a route and fuck with people?
I mean, not anymore. But I do have some boxes of old resin holds behind the wall that I'm just like, dude, these old Metolius cobbles, like I'm busting these out for a comp or something.
Those things
and
are slippery.
They're collecting dust,
Yeah.
but they're back there, classics. I have like the Boss hold and like a few other classic holds that I held on to. But no, commercially, that was one of the first things I did at BRG was pretty much systematically get rid of all of our resin holds and any multicolored hold, any of the swirly holds, any of the like all those. I would order more holds. I started a hold budget, and we would slowly get rid of them and sell them to people like you. And thank you for supporting our hold
sloper purchasing.
Yeah,
it ruined my life.
And yeah, so that was a big change. And then there was a big push for monochromatic route setting, which I think
that was
a pretty
huge.
significant.
That was a crazy change.
Where rather than having a bunch of tape that just like looks janky, falls off the wall, it's just like chaotic, and like route setters don't know how to put tape at the same angle, so you don't know how to step away from the wall more than 3 feet and look. So
I mean, that was pre-cherry picker for setting routes, so everybody was on a ladder or gree.
Yeah, and you're hanging off a rope and setting, and then you put your holds on, and then you tape afterwards, or some people tape before, put the tape under the hold so it stays on there better, and like I don't know, but I'm really psyched that I've a pretty passionate hate for tape, and
I was so skeptical.
Even with climbing comps, I'm just like, dude, screw it. I don't want to tape boxes around things. I don't want to tape slashes. I just want it simple. Screw something on, have a placard or something. And I actually did that. We used to tape the start labels and the start holds, and then I got rid of that, and we just started putting plaques next to the start hold, and I'm just like,
that was great.
You know what? Climbers can figure out which hold is the start hold if the start tag is like a foot away from the hold.
Well, let's talk.
They can figure that out. And if they can't figure it out, then they're not going to have the worst time in the world. They'll just like start a hold higher on the boulder problem or something.
Yeah. Which brings me to a question that Chris Hampton just released to the masses. If a boulder gets started as a stand and then laid and it's established and then gets done as a sit, is the boulder now a sit, or is it two different problems?
I mean, I think it's two different problems.
Okay, so if a boulder gets done as a sit and is established, can you do it as a stand, and is that a different problem?
I think so.
All right.
I mean,
that's amazingly consistent.
Well, I mean, it's like, it's just like its own thing. If you start standing on, if there's like an obvious stand start, and you're just like, I'm going to do this thing.
What if it's an inobvious stand start?
then you're just lying to yourself.
All right. That's what we all
You're
like
just
to do.
making up stuff to like feel good about.
Hey man,
what
I
you're
did
doing.
half of it.
I don't know, man. I don't make the rules.
Yeah,
That's just
nobody makes the rules.
That's just my opinion.
Somebody makes the rules, but they're an asshole.
I don't like them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, I mean,
Holds.
routes, holds.
Set screws. Do you think they ruin the wall, or do you think the wall is something like? Do you think you're gonna have to replace walls for using set screws?
I mean, maybe eventually, but I think it's completely worth it for. I mean, if you think about it, your wall already has hundreds and thousands of holes in it, giant holes with with metal wash T-nuts in them. Like, put a little screw hole in the wall, thousands of screw holes, like whatever. Like, you can only see it if you're up close, and I think it's a safety thing. Like, if you don't have your holds set screwed, holds spin, like
They spin crazy sometimes.
They do, and people fall, and sometimes they hurt
Like
themselves.
your leg bones spin crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. My opinion on set screwing holds has shifted over the last like 5 years, where I was like pretty conservative about it. I was like, yeah, set screw the largest holds and like, try to conserve the wall. And now I'm just like, you know what? I think you should pretty much set screw, like, if you think it might spin, just set screw it. Like, your routes, you're gonna have higher quality product. Like, anytime a hold spins, even if it's not a safety issue, it's just like it's annoying for a member to be like, oh, you go to the front desk, you have a wrench, there's a spinner up there, and it's like, 2 bolts from the top, and like they're like, hey, can you get it for us? And they put it in the wrong angle.
They put it at the angle they want.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, it's just annoying and kind of sloppy, and like, the more you can minimize hold spinning, I think the better product you're gonna have overall in your gym. And so,
did that change when people started putting set screws in? Did it like change how you were able to manufacture a hold, because the bolt didn't have to be in like gravitational center? You could like put the bolt somewhere and have the whole
there's
shape
some
change.
holds that are where the bolt isn't in the center, but I still think they should have
still in the
the
center.
bolt in the center. Like, I don't, unless it's some weird like Waco or some crazy weird rail thing. Like, I don't see why you can't put the bolt in the center.
There's like a push to have only screw in holds.
Yeah,
Did that ever take off?
That was a theory for a
Did
bit.
that just go away?
I think there's some gyms that do only screw on, which is kind of cool. But I don't know. Home walls, I think that's kind of practical. You don't have to like T-nut all your.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
They just
not all holds are made to be screw on, so you have to pilot your own holes, and then I don't know.
You have to like plan to replace wood eventually.
Yeah.
What do you think the lifetime is?
It kind of depends on how frequently you set routes. Like,
Yeah,
if you're changing routes out, if you have a really high turnover, then your panels are going to get more chewed up, and you'll have to replace some panels every once in a while. But newer gyms, that's the other big change I was going to say is like back in the 90s and early 2000s, climbing walls were like, the whole push was like to make it as real as possible, feet concrete and featured featured walls, and
then they were like,
you
can climb any part of this.
Like, and even climbing holds are shaped to mimic real rock, which sometimes they do a good job of that. At the end of the day, you're still pulling on plastic, so it's, I don't know how realistic that actually feels, but the movement to go away from the realistic rock wall and to go with wood paneling has really kind of changed the indoor climbing industry as well, because now you have the ability to put massive volumes, like some of those ones Bennett built.
Dude, those things are crazy.
Just, like,
I love that.
Like 14 feet tall.
I love that whole corner, that like tight corner in the back of the gym, in the new gym.
Yeah.
It just has that giant.
Yeah, I mean, it's
volume.
Basically, it's there as storage because we don't have anywhere to put it besides on the wall.
But that's to me, that's such a better feature than that like tight corner.
Yeah, so having wood panels, large, consistent panels, you're able to put huge volumes on in large holds, and that really, I think, kind of upped the game for route setting. Just being able to change your entire terrain, and screwing on holds, having wood walls, you can screw anything in wherever. Volumes, like you can get really creative with all the tools we have now. So yeah, that's my summary of all the changes.
Do you think Pusher was like the first company to kind of change the whole game? That's like the first company I can remember.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
they definitely,
look at that
they definitely were doing some cool
the
stuff.
Death Star and the boss.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I remember when that stuff came out. I was kind of just getting into indoor climbing and setting then, and so probably after they were coming out with that stuff, actually. I don't remember the exact year when he was releasing that stuff, but yeah, I mean, there's a few companies that changed the game. I mean, I know Ty and Ian started e-grips, and they started using polyurethane, and they were the kind of the pioneers of that change. And I think that was, I still think that was probably one of the single-handed like biggest changes in the indoor climbing industry, was that switch to polyurethane. And like, yeah, and so I don't know, there's a lot of people doing a lot of cool things, and it's hard to pinpoint.
Is there anything going on with gyms and COVID other than like they're not allowed to open, which I think is ridiculous? I think like they're so safe in there.
Yeah, it's really
so spread out.
Really spread out, really spacious.
Wear masks, lots of airflow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm unemployed right now, so
man, I don't think
we're closed.
I think it's fair or like reasonable.
You're paying me for this, right?
Oh yeah, and chocolate and bubbly water.
Chocolate.
Is there
weird,
are
man.
like gyms making any adjustments or like thinking about how to change or reformulate for the future? Is there like
based on COVID? And
yeah. Is there any like realizations that they've had?
Well, I think all gyms need to address the issue of like how much space they have and how many people they're allowed to have in the gym. So occupancy, that's the word I'm looking for.
Sure.
Yeah, so they're going to need to limit their occupancy to whatever is a safe number. So that's a big change, and along with that comes managing those numbers. And so you're going to have to either have scheduled times for people to come in, or have someone counting and keeping track of how many people are in the gym, and then notifying the members of where they're allowed to go, and how many people are allowed to be where. And so it's just a lot of policing and monitoring, and just pretty annoying, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of necessary until.
Is there like infrastructure change that could happen, or like any technology?
I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Once again, not a scientist.
I'm an artist. Damn it.
Is there for anybody that would you recommend becoming a route setter?
I mean, hell yeah.
All right. Is there any like?
I mean, it's tough. I mean, it just depends on what you're into and what you want to do with your life. Like, it's not easy. It's certainly not easy, and it's definitely, despite the changes in the industry and how many people are making it a profession, it's still not easy to have route setting be a profession. I think it takes a lot of perseverance and a little bit of luck, and just a certain type of attitude, along with the actual skill and ability to be able to be creative. And
is the physicality side of it like a big issue? Because you guys are like, I mean, what do you grab like 10,000 hold like individual grips a week, just being like, I don't. Like, how many times do you think you load your hand?
Always grabbing it. Dude, I don't know how many times I've foreran where I just didn't warm up. I'm like, all right, try this thing. And yeah, we're grabbing a lot of things. It's physical. It's difficult. You definitely need to have a certain base level of fitness to be able to do a job like this.
If somebody wants to get into it, can they hire you? For like $200 an hour, teach them all the things.
300.
300.
I'm just kidding.
Seems reasonable. You
I mean,
heard it here first.
I mean,
we'll link to your.
Sure, I would do something like that. I mean, it's the problem. The problem with getting started with route setting is there's a huge barrier to entry because to set at a commercial gym to really get experience that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Most commercial gyms want people that are experienced,
Right.
and
Yeah,
so
that seems like
there's a lot of industries like that, but it's especially prevalent in route setting because
so the best way is just to lie on your resume once.
sometimes you gotta lie a little bit.
A little bit. Kids out there.
Fake it till you make it. Yeah, so there's a lot of people that start in like university gyms.
Ooh, can I tell you my university gym?
Which I
Route setting.
yeah, I want to hear
story.
it because it's always hilarious.
Have I told you before?
No, but just
Oh, okay.
university route setting in general.
So,
I was just like, cool.
So I met my wife, Andy. She was obviously not my wife when I met her. But
it wasn't an arranged
it
marriage.
was not. So I met Andy in Portland at Portland Rock Gym, and she was in pharmacy school, and we went to Corvallis for her to finish up pharmacy school, and there was a climbing gym in this college there.
Was it the newer gym or the older gym?
Old gym.
The older one underneath the stadium thing?
Newer gym. I
So
think
in
there's
the-
a
in the
newer.
fitness Okay.
Yeah, in the fitness center.
Okay. I
Yeah.
think that's the. Well,
I think there's one more after that, isn't there? I don't know.
know.
Anyway, it was like a textured EP wall,
Mhm.
and I got a job setting there, volunteer to pay for a pass, and I had like a moderate amount of route setting experience.
prior to that or
Prior to
because
that.
of that?
Prior to that.
Uh-huh.
Just setting in Cleveland for, I don't know, I think I made like $6.50 an hour route setting. It was awesome. But I also got time for free and tell my parents I had to be somewhere. and so I had been climbing for, I don't know, was I 30? So I'd been climbing for like 15 years or something. And I felt like I knew what was going on and how to do it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good resume. I'd maybe
whatever.
hire you.
Yeah, maybe. You probably shouldn't. I'm very opinionated, which is where the story is going. And they would set these routes that would start on just like heinous crimpers or just have like a heinous boulder problem halfway through, and
Love it.
just like not consistent for what was going on in the rest of the route, or just the whole route would be heinous. And so I tried to start, like, every route should start on a decent set of holds so you can just like get off the ground, get your body tension set, and go.
Mm-hmm. I
And-
completely agree with that, by the way.
Okay, that's good to know.
Nailed it.
And they pulled me aside one time and they were like, you know, that's just not really how we do it here. That gives a false sense of what the rest of the route's going to be like, and you're just going to get people on these routes that aren't
my
ready
God.
for how hard the rest of the route is, and they're going to get injured.
Sweet.
And I was like, all right, I don't think that's accurate, and I think you need to like have good finishing and start holds so people can be engaged. And
You're hired.
they were like, yeah, well, that's just not how we do it. And so not only in my eyes were they not building the routes properly, but I also felt the grading was complete chaos. And so they basically said I couldn't sit there anymore. And so
Because of that?
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
man.
and so I went around one day while I was just rock climbing, and I took off all the grades from every route in the whole gym. And then Andy went back to climb one day, and
That's
there was like a
hilarious.
buzz about that going on. And I was like, yeah, that was me. And so Andy banned me from going back ever.
Andy?
So, yeah. So that was my last time ever climbing in that gym.
Well, you know what? You were right.
Yes, Andy, what's up?
That's on record.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so that was fun times.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, dude, I make it a point to have the first 2 bolts significantly easier than the rest of the route, and on any lead route in our gym. It's like I don't want anybody to fall at all.
No
period.
way.
And they're not going to get a false sense of how easy the route is because the grade that's on the route. Like,
Yeah,
that's why we have.
There's
tag.
actually a
That's why we have
label.
the tag there with the grade. And not that that's accurate necessarily, but it's at least.
But it's accurate
somewhat
within
accurate.
Yeah,
We're
gives you an idea of what
sort
to
of
do.
all right at our job.
What do you think about gyms having like high first bolts and just using a stick clip?
I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I mean,
I've never seen it implemented, but the first couple bolts are usually pretty low to the ground.
yeah, I think that the bolts at our gym. I think it would be nice if our first bolt was halfway between where our first and second bolt is.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I still think it's. I don't know. I'm trying to create the safest atmosphere I can, and so having a low first bolt is kind of nice for people that are just beginning and learning and whatnot. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it would be the best idea to have stick clips all around the gym and people clipping like.
I mean, there's brushes in the bouldering side.
True. It's just that's another thing they have to learn how to do. Which, I mean, if you're gonna go outside, especially at Smith, you should probably know what you're doing with a stick clip, anyways. But
yeah, I think it would help it make it like a more commonly accepted practice. There's still people at Smith who are like, "No, man, I don't stick clip,"
yeah,
and then they fall halfway to the first bolt and just like land on a rock with their ankle.
yeah, because that's where the crux is.
Every time.
Smith Rock is doing it right.
It's just like
crux
it's
is
just like the
before
gym in
first
Corvallis.
Yeah, well, we're just trying to recreate outdoors.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Making it unenjoyable. We need some otters in the Bend Rockton.
I would love to have some otters.
Let's get some otters.
Or
water puppers.
Even some like marmots or anything, little critters, cats. I don't know.
Not cats.
I mean, they're basically like land otters.
Yeah. No, dogs are land otters.
No, they're not.
Yes.
Dogs
Look at this thing.
Dogs are land seals. To me.
Okay.
I
All
mean,
right. I'll go with that. I'll go with that. Dogs are land seals and cats are land otters.
Yeah.
All right. I'm on board. Yes, all makes.
We figured it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We agree about the start of routes, and we agree about cats being land
Land
otters.
otters. Is there any anything you think new route setters should think about? Tips, tricks, concerns.
First of all, righty tighty, lefty loosey. Get it backwards.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, one I would just recommend like being open to feedback and not being afraid of making mistakes and owning those mistakes. Like you have to hear about them and like learn from them. That's a very broad statement because there's a lot of ways to make mistakes. But yeah, just the whole process of learning is super critical. And as far as like,
if you spin a bolt, do you blame it on somebody else, or do you just walk away?
if you get a bolt stuck, cross thread something, dude, you gotta own that shit.
All right,
you gotta own it, and you go behind the wall and you fix it. You put your safety glasses on and grind that thing off.
That's some adult shit right there.
Yeah, and then
what's the best practice for doing that? You just grind the legs off the T-nut and pull it out, or
now we're getting into the nitty gritty. I mean,
might as well. We're here.
It kind of depends. I mean, there's a lot of different kinds of walls and different ways bolts get cross-threaded. I mean, if there's like if your bolt isn't in all the way and it's cross-threaded, you can go behind the wall and undo the screws, and someone pushes the bolt in from the front, gives it some space between the wall and the T-nut, and you can just chop that off with the angle grinder. Pulls it right out, and then just replace the T-nut afterwards. Sometimes if it's really tight, you have a hard time doing that, sometimes we'll vice grip and WD-40 from the back, and then someone on the front will just like crank that baby out, and sometimes it comes out, sometimes it just breaks. I've broken bolts, straight up sheared bolts in half because of these huge biceps. Or the T-nut breaks, or I don't know. There's all sorts of weird stuff. You got to be creative. Wear your safety glasses though.
Wear your safety glasses.
Wear those glasses.
Cool.
Man, I feel like I should have some sort of
be persistent,
inspiring thing to say for aspiring route setters. Yeah,
where do you get your inspiration for routes from?
Dude, I find inspiration from all sorts of weird places. Like, I'll be looking at things. Same with shaping holds. Like, I'll look at just random objects and I'm like, whoa, that'd be cool if that was like somehow turned into a climbing hold. Or I'll just look at like, I don't know, buildings or just like furniture and all sorts of weird stuff where I'm just like, oh, that's kind of cool. Or like watching some other sport and seeing somebody move their body in a certain way, and it's like, oh, dude, I wonder if I can like apply that to route setting or make someone do something similar. You know? Yeah. So I don't know. The creative process is really interesting to me, and yeah, I think it's a really huge part of route setting. So I guess, yeah, again, talking to beginning route setters, just be creative and listen to what the members want and what the. I think the. I'm trying to like figure out the best piece of advice to give, but there's so much.
It could be a shitty piece of advice. It's okay. We can come back to it later.
Shitty advice.
Different day and time.
I was gonna say, like, there's a creative aspect of route setting, obviously, you know, coming up with something that's inspiring and creative, but also we have a job to do. We're setting routes for the members, and and so making sure that we have athletic empathy for the people that are going to be climbing those routes, and so that means letting go of your ego a little bit and kind of putting yourself in someone else's shoes, whether they're a V1 climber or 70 years old, or they're 5 years old and they're tiny or whatever. Just like trying to accommodate as many of the people as you can in as many of the routes that you can. I think is a really great way to kind of become a good route setter for the people.
For the people. Cool.
Yeah. And we've been talking for a while.
Yeah.
What was that, an hour?
That was pretty good.
Hour and 20 minutes. I'll keep going, dude.
What do you want to talk about?
We haven't even talked about like hold shaping.
Oh yeah! I totally forgot about hold shaping. Do you think
I mean, I don't know how long this is gonna be. We're at
an
an hour and 20 minutes.
We can do whatever the fuck we want.
All right.
Well, there's no Mentos in there. Man, yeah, we were just talking about route setting.
I will geek out about this stuff for a while.
Hold shaping. What was the first? Do people only shape holds as a job?
I don't know. I think there's a few people that do. Yeah, that they either own a hold company, and so now rather than just shaping, they're now like operating business. But
I have to stop you, and you have to look at Tango.
Oh my gosh, Tango, you're so cute. You're such a cute little land seal.
You're just a little land seal. You're a good boy. Okay. Yeah.
You're doing it right over there.
Did you? I mean, you had that climbing wall at home as a kid.
Yeah.
Did you like build holds for that?
No, I didn't. I didn't even know who made holds or where they came from, or didn't really think about that until years later. Yeah, actually, the Kent from Atoli's Kent Benesh. Benesh? Is that how you say his name? You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is that how you say his last name?
I don't know. I have never said his last name to him, and he has never said his last name to me.
Me neither. I've only read it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go ahead and say it's Benesh.
Benesh. I would have said Benesh.
Benesh.
But I also have a friend in Portland we just call Benesh. and they're probably spelled
Not to
different.
be confused with Portland Benish.
What's that?
Kent Benish.
Oh,
not
no,
to be confused
different.
with Portland Benish.
No.
He brought me a chunk of foam at the gym like probably 6 years ago because they were getting ready, Metolius was getting ready to kind of start doing their who's
Not a
there?
break. Hang on, with.
Tango. Where's that other dog bark? Oh,
Yeah, I've been petting her with my feet. So can you give your piece of foam?
Yeah, basically Metolius was trying to start a new indoor climbing gym hold kind of push to get a new line of holds out for climbing gyms rather than their home wall stuff that they sell in like this packs at REI. They wanted to do polyurethane instead of resin and market it to climbing gyms, and they came and talked to me. They're just like, what do you guys like for climbing holds? And I was like, I want to try shaping, and he's like, I'll bring you some foam. And
Oh, cool.
so there's another person that I really owe a lot to. I've thanked him a few times. Every once in a while, I'm like, dude, thank you so much. Like,
Yeah, it seems like that relationship is really like sprouted. Is that the right word? Sprouted?
Yeah, love that word.
Yeah.
Sprout.
Sprouted.
Like
Bloomed. I was looking for blossom.
It's blossomed like a desert rose. But yeah, so he just basically was like, here, give it a shot. Here's some foam. Try it out. And I showed him some stuff, and they're like, yeah, that's cool. Let's make some holds. And so they just like essentially took a chance with me and let me do it. And yeah,
Do they have a
super
bunch
grateful
of
for that as well.
Shapers working for them, or is it you? And
It's just me and Jim Karn.
Oh no.
Yeah, he did most of like the basic shape. He did all the basic shapes and a few other series for them. And then I did the other about half. We pretty much did half and half. Yeah, so that was really cool. Like, working with Jim, and he's been doing that for years as well.
You set for a few different companies, or shape for a few different companies.
Yeah, so the last couple of years I've kind of started shaping up quite a bit more for just freelance shaping for different companies. I've worked quite a bit with Thrive and a newer company, Elevation.
I thought they'd been around for a while.
Elevation? No, they just started up. Like, they approached me a year and a half ago at the CWA conference, and it was like top secret. We're starting this new screw-on volumes only polyfiber hold company. We want you to shape for us. And I went home from that trip, and I was shaping in Rich's shed at the time, and I just this tiny little, it was like 8 foot by 8 foot ice box in the winter. Freeze my ass off. But I went and just like cranked out a bunch of stuff, sent him photos, and like went to town, and ended up
Got the spark.
I ended up doing like three of, I think there was 8 series total. So I did 3 of them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they turned out really cool.
Those big black drippy things.
Yeah, those big horns, those big pink Wacos we have at the gym. Motivators they're called, and then the Les Gastons. There's the big like scoopy pinch things. So yeah, did that with them. I've done a little bit for Working Class, and Metolius obviously. And have some more stuff lined up.
How do you manage shaping for different companies and not like infringing on a shape that you make for one company with another company? Is there a concern about that, or it's just kind of
not too much? I mean, let's be real. Like, I'm not really exactly inventing new shapes. Like, there's like 6 different types of shapes. You know? Pocket,
Innies, outies.
Yeah, like a thingy, blah, the little.
But you are, I mean,
grabber.
You know, the aesthetic of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's definitely. I know some shapers actually. I don't think they go as far as putting a patent on their their shapes, but I know some that have different companies sign that shaper owns the rights to those shapes still. So if they ever leave or whatever, anything happens, they can keep those shapes and have the ownership of those specific shapes. I haven't gone down that road yet. I just pretty much shape and sell my shapes to the companies, and they become their shapes. you know, creativity
Yeah.
is an interesting thing when it comes to shaping because, like, yeah, I can make a jug that looks similar to another jug that either I've shaped or seen from another company, and it's like, you know, a jug's a jug. Like, I can add my own flair, I can do a little thing that's different here or there, but at the end of the day, you're still, it's a jug. It's an innie.
Yeah.
It's an innie, grippy, grabby. So, yeah, there's not really too much. I mean, if I just straight up copied something, like,
Yeah, just
you mold out
molded
on it,
it.
and like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I get inspired by different shapes that I see from different people and try to, you know, mimicry is like a really common thing with art.
Yeah, sure.
Music, and you know, that happens all the time.
What's that foam like that you shape with? Is it like
I use a really soft foam.
Okay.
It's like essentially floral foam. It's a
like that green stuff?
Yeah, and so I can use my hands and fingers, and it's like really easy to use. I'm actually
how's that stuff made? It's such a weird texture, that floral foam. I don't understand.
I'm not really sure
what
exactly
it
how it is a high density urethane foam.
Okay.
And I believe they just take that, so it's plastic sort of, and they mix it with air at a consistent rate, I believe, and they put it into like a however big of a chunk they want to make, refrigerator size or whatever, and they pump it into this like block to make the foam, and it's aerated, and so that hopefully, I don't really know exactly how it's created, but that's my best guess.
Cool.
Again, I'm not a scientist.
But it's pretty pliable.
Yeah, it's so easy to cut and stuff. I'm currently looking for some more higher dense foam, you know, like a 4 pound or 6 pound foam that's like much harder to work, more rigid. So I'll need to use like electric tools or like, you know,
Why
tools.
why do you want to use the denser foam?
You can do a lot more detailed work with denser foam.
Okay.
Really soft foam is really hard. If I want to do like super fine lines or really detailed stuff, it just like dents and breaks and gets scraped really easily. If I just brush it with my hand, it'll create like
sandy.
Yeah, and so if it's more dense, I can like handle it easier. I don't have to be so cautious, and then I can really do some more detailed stuff.
Cool. Like when you're doing those like divots or like the texture.
Textured stuff, or like patterns, or really fine lines, or whatever.
How do they make those? Like the Boss had that like brainy texture, and then there's like that
font texture.
Yeah, and then there's that like weave, the basket weave texture. That's gotta take a
The
long
foods
time
weaves.
to figure out how to make that. It seems like a really intricate
Yeah, well,
process
I mean, like
so consistent across.
Yeah, like the Boss is like kind of a classic font texture, and so they're essentially just looking at texture at outdoor sandstone and like mimicking that, which, yeah, it's detailed work. It's pretty sometimes monotonous. The Foos weave that you're talking about, Ty Foos, he's the same guy that did the bubble wrap molds.
Okay,
You know
yep.
what I'm talking about. Which, yeah, that's some really tedious work. Like, talk about like really skilled shaping. Like that's some very detailed, tedious work where he's essentially going in there with tools, and I'm sure he's using a pretty dense foam so that it maintains its like integrity while he's working with it. But he's carving each of those little bands of that weave, and he's like going in there with like little tools and sandpaper.
Each
and
one
just
like has the perfect.
It's a lot of. I don't even want to know how many hours that took for each hold.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, we can ask him.
I was wondering
Let's call him up.
Call him up. Call him up, Tango. I was wondering if he like had a basket that he overlaid on it and then molded the hold with the basket.
No, it's all done by hand.
Jeez. So
Like,
he's
same
like
with
the
the bubble wrap.
Michelangelo of hold shaping.
Yeah, he's something.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. It's inspiring to see what people are coming out with, and yeah, you know, getting inspiration from those shapers and trying to like make my own adaptations to that. I was just talking with a friend the other day about the process of creativity and how like essentially you're you're not coming up with anything new. You're taking something that already exists and you're adding your own flair or your own little bit to it to maybe make it slightly different, and then while it also keeping its value. And I think that's really good creativity, where you're making something that's valuable still while also adding your own flair to something that like already exists, or like, which I think is pretty interesting, and that's pretty much exactly what I'm doing when I'm shaping.
Carving your own niche.
Yeah, just trying to add something that's a little different. So, like I said, I'm not creating any new holds. Like
that's how things get. That's how progression happens, right?
Exactly. So that's how all the changes in the indoor climbing industry have happened. It's just slow, changes like that.
What's that table you use? It's got a bunch of holes in it. Do you have like vacuum under there?
I did. When I was at my old house, I had a shop vac that I could attach. So it's basically a box, and I'd turn it on and foam would get sucked into that. But the holes were too small. It didn't really work. If I were to remake that, I would just drill bigger holes. And
that's all that was keeping it from working?
Pretty much. Side. Yeah, plus the shop vac I had wasn't that powerful, and I didn't want to drop a bunch of money on a nicer one. And, so I just sweep up dust every time I finish shaping. It's so messy.
Breathe it and hack it out
it's
later.
so messy, and that's why I do it behind the wall at the gym now. And it's just there's already dust back there anyways. It doesn't really matter.
You have a room back there?
Yeah, there's just some space. Wouldn't call it a room. It's just like where the wall goes in
empty
a little bit,
space.
where there's an overhang, and just throw my table back there. And
oh, nice. In the old gym?
Shelves. Yep.
ODG.
Yep. The old dirty gym.
Nice. You might as well. It's already covered.
Yep. So that's what I'm doing back there.
Cool. How many hold shaping companies are there out there?
Dude, I don't even know.
50.
Oh, way more.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
I would say
that's nuts.
Easily in the world. I would say I don't even know what to say. I've easily 10 times that, like 500,
really?
1,000. I don't know.
Wow.
There's a lot of small companies.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Euro companies, like all over, like wherever. I mean, there's 50 in the U.S. alone that are like fairly major. Maybe not 50, but
I'm so out of touch. I'm so old.
Yeah, dude. There's more than just those old resin holds.
All we need is micro swirly holds.
Yeah.
I've got some holds from the Rock Gym. They're red and black. They're basically slightly in-cut open hand crimpers.
Are those old Metolians?
I think so. They're just the best. For just like mileage. They're so comfortable.
Just like a basic edge, basically.
Just a basic edge, yeah.
Yeah.
Dang, they're nice.
I'm pretty sure Jim shaped those.
Good job, Jim.
Back in the day, and then he reshaped the basic edges for the newer stuff. So.
Oh, there's a new version of them?
Oh yeah, just go to the website.
My hands on it.
Yep. Well, hey.
I think we did it. I think
we talked for
I think we had a good conversation. I don't know if we got anything accomplished, but that's not really the point.
I think we accomplished a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we talked to a real person, face to face.
Hey,
6 feet apart.
We were
6 feet apart.
We have video.
Nice, beautiful table. You know,
this is nice. Did you make this?
Jason Chichen made this.
Oh.
Right
on. Nice work, Jason.
This is going to come up in every single podcast I do it here, but I'll tell the story every time. So this was a tree in our front yard that had died because of all these holes in it. Drilled by beetles.
Pine beetles?
Yep. Yep. And we looked in our front yard one day and we were like, oh, that's going to kill somebody. And Andy was worried it was going to fall on Logan's house. So we had our friend Jake Reingold cut it down, which was really fun to watch and a little scary. And then our other friends, Drew Peterson and Phil Chi, used their Alaska mill to cut the tree into pieces.
Cool.
And then Jason Chichen made the table.
Nice. The friends banded together to. It's like the Amish building a barn.
We got everything. we got all the friends together. So now we got this cool table with a bunch of pocket crimpers.
And now we're sitting at the table talking about rock climbing.
Yep.
Great. Come full circle.
High five.
Air fives.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah. Thanks for chatting with me. That was fun.
Yeah. Thanks, Joey.
I hope that like 2 or 3 people listen to this.
Yeah, me too. I'm not even gonna check though. It doesn't matter.
Nah.
I'm gonna push save, and then I'm gonna post it on the website in like 20 minutes.
Cool.
And then we'll hear
don't forget
nothing
to
more
tag
ever
me.
again.
Don't forget to tag me.
Yeah, I will.
At
I will.
SO Climbing.
Yeah, at So Climbing. Why is it So Climbing?
That stands for Southern Oregon Climbing,
Oh.
which that's kind of where that was my old stomping grounds.
Oh, you were like, I'm like, so a rock climber.
So rock climbing? No, it's Southern Oregon, and now Central Oregon, but I just don't want to change that S to a C right now.
Don't do it.
Co-climbing?
Yeah, you're at So Climbing in my heart.
Yeah.
People want to contact you to shape holds. Do you want them to do that?
Yeah, totally.
How do they do it?
Either on my Instagram or you can email me at joey@benrockgym.com. Should I have given my email out like that?
Nobody's gonna listen to this shit. Yeah.
No spam.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's okay. It's just my business email. I'll block you if you start sending me weird stuff.
You can get a bunch of climber foot pictures.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm always down to do go set routes somewhere, do a new gym opening, do some consulting, shake some
holds,
like,
so you've been
told
you. Whoosh.
No,
This is pretty neat. This is pretty neat though. I thought when you were like traveling around going to new gyms.
Yeah.
How'd you get that going? Was that just kind of something that just started because you knew somebody opening a gym, or?
No, like everything that ever happens to me, I have good friends that are amazing that think about me, and they're like, "Hey, Joey, you'd be great for this. I want to do this," and they just like thought about me and thought, they knew some people who knew some people, and networking.
Just happened. Yeah.
So yeah, my first kind of consulting job was down at Project Rock in Florida, and that was because Louis Anderson and Mike Help, actually at CWA conference like 3-4 years ago. I can't remember exactly. They asked if I wanted to do it, and I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, I have experience doing that at my own gyms and ordering holds and doing initial sets, and they're so bored. These dogs do not like route setting.
This is the most asleep I've ever seen them.
I'm that boring.
That's cool. Is that something you want to keep doing?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I really enjoy doing that. It's fun to
Pop.
Right, she's having a dream.
Yeah, she is.
It's fun to be a part of different climbing communities and going and
awesome.
seeing like what gets them motivated and what their communities are like and who's in there climbing and what they're psyched on, and it's just a whole different challenge of working with a different gym, finding out what their vision is, doing my best to make sure that is carried out in either the route setting or the holds they order or whatever. So yeah, it's really fun. Way different. It's a lot more time on a computer.
Yeah. Something to do when you're like 60 and can't
totally
route climb anymore. Sorry, all you 60-year-olds that are still crushing.
We'll be there soon.
Yeah.
I'm pushing 40, right?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that was neat to see when you're traveling around doing this stuff.
Yeah, I'm actually supposed to be going back over to the East Coast for actually Project Rock. They're opening a second location in South Carolina, so I'm doing their hold order and their initial set and working with them again. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun to go see those guys again and do a second gym.
Do it again.
Yeah, and then hopefully more after that. So yeah.
All right.
Okay. Are we?
Let's end this.
You want to talk more about, dude? What about front desk work? Just kidding. It's like we didn't even talk about skin.
Next time.
We didn't even talk about skin. I'm just kidding.
Nobody cares about skin.
No,
I gotta pee so bad.
Okay, let's go pee.
Okay.
Thanks, Justin.
Yeah. Thanks, Joey. We'll do this again.
I love
Anytime.
you.
Love you, man. It's good to have real talks with real people, not on Zoom.
Oh yeah. Good thing I live in town.
I'm gonna push the stop button.
Okay, ready. We're done. Nice. Cool. Well, we did, I'd say 95%. We got an A on that for winging it.
I'm going A plus for sure.
That was good talks, you know?
Oh, I must have recorded a whippoorwill.
Is that all you got?
That's all I got.
That was the whole thing. This chocolate is good.
It's tasty, eh?
It's like not even chocolate. It's like...
It's just ethereal
like
deliciousness.
pasty, like poofy.
Uh-oh.
It tastes like chocolate, but the texture...
Let me see. Pause. I don't know how to use this thing yet. Stop.
I hope that you didn't get any of that.
I got all of it. It's all going up.
Wow. No edits, man. You don't want to do... Do you have an intro that you have for your... Do you do anything? You're just like, here's
I don't have anything yet. I have a friend who makes guitars out of skis. He's gonna do a intro and outro for me. He's a wild dude.
Yeah, like with a little jingle and it's like, bruh, skin in the game.
I'll have something.
Yeah, here we go, episode number 4 with Joey Jansen. Check it out right here. Here we go. We sat around and we talked.
I'll do a little like Joey's a deadpan route setter.
Total deadpan.
Yeah.
Shit. That was fun.
Yeah, I like this. I just need to. If you know anybody that wants to, talk with me,
someone that's got skin in the game,
just let me know.
Yeah, I know all kinds of people. How pro are you trying to get? What?
Just anybody. They don't even have to be pro. I'll do anybody.
I mean, I'm not.
I mean, I won't do anybody because I'm married.
This is so... That doesn't mean anything. What is this? Coconut?
Mm-hmm. You can take that with you.
That's so good.
You want this one too? It's mint.
I'm not a big peppermint fan. That's one of the few things I don't
I'm
like.
gonna eat this.
But I want to take
Myself.
the good one.
I have a lot of them.
Yeah, I have touched it.
It's the least I can do.
Oh my god. Cool. Well, I'm excited to not listen to that again.
Yeah.
That was a solid hour and a half of bullshit.
Yeah. That's how I think that's a good podcast.
Yeah. How many have you done?
This is number 5.
And you've taken a big break and you haven't done any of that?
I did one, and then I took about 6 months break. And I did another, and then took about a year break. And then this might be 4.
Wow.
I just did Graham Zimmerman a couple weeks ago.
Cool. Mm-hmm. You didn't? Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, cool. I'll repost it.
All right.
Are you just going to put it on your website or on?
Yeah, it'll be on the website. It'll be on
Instance.
YouTube. Probably have to figure out where people post podcasts.
Yeah, normally podcasts are on like a podcast channel or some sort, but I don't know. Those are like people that do podcasts, like.
Yeah, it's weird because like I have a business, and this is just kind of
a
thing. Yeah. Just gives the.
That's like what
I wanted
doing.
to give like Rhino depth in my life depth and the business a little more depth and I don't know.
Yeah.
Just talk to people.
Speaking of Rhino,
Mm-hmm.
you got any stuff here with you? I'm like getting low.
What do you need?
Like to take with me? Like,
Yeah, you can have any of that.
What?
Yeah.
I don't need a huge ass bottle.
Just take the huge ass bottle.
Well, do you have any of the split stick? I use that the most.
Yes. Yeah, I think I do. I'll have to look at it.
I tell people about it all the time, and I have to give them some of the ones that I have.
Oh, I'll give you stuff to hand out too.
Like, even people that don't even climb, I'm like, dude.
That's fine. That's
like,
great.
My buddy the other day was like, I'm getting all these splits in my fingers. He's like, builds cabinets and shit.
Oh, yeah.
It's so fucked. I'm like,
I
dude.
Don't know if
shit?
you know, but there's more non-climbers than there are climbers.
That use it?
Yeah.
Really?
And so, no, just in general.
Oh, just people that exist in the world?
Yeah. So
I do
non-climbers might be a better way for me to go.
Yeah. How is business going? I mean, I know.
It's good. It's weird. It's up and down.
Yeah.
COVID is weird right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I see people all the time, pro climbers, that are just like, I love this shit. Like, they're constantly.
It's weird. It's weird to like have been rock climbing so long, and I'm very much like I do my own thing kind of person. And so now having these connections to like famous people, rock climber famous, that I would never have met.
And they're all psyched on all this shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. It's weird. It's wild.
They're legit
wild.
like, this is the best shit out here.
I finally have gotten...
Which I agree it is.
I finally gotten over the point where I am embarrassed to tell people I make lotion. Because it's like such a...
For what?
It's such a lame... Exactly. It's like such a lame thing to tell people.
Well, it's not
I gotta make lotion.
You don't make lotion. I mean, you do, but you make way more than just lotion.
Yeah. But it's still weird.
You make people feel good.
I make people feel good.
That's what you mean.
I'm more of a heart and soul.
An experience.
Yeah. Okay, I have to pee.
And good luck.
Okay.
Hope everything comes out okay.
Let me